Hi,
guys.
everyone. Thank you for joining us. Why is my head cut off? I look so tall. I'll just slouch. There we go. Hi. Welcome to this episode of ESO Live. Thanks for joining us. We are your hosts for today. Giggles McGee over here. I'm Gina Bruno, Assistant Community Manager for ESO.
I'm Jason Levy, very tall Jason Levy right now.
Your hair's getting a little cut off there.
It is. It's too big.
So, as always, thank you for joining us. We're going to just dive right in to the show overview for today.
Let's take a look. So, first we have the official ESO news.
The official news.
It is.
As
It's
opposed
official.
to the unofficial news.
Well, we're telling it, so it's official.
It's true. After that, we will be discussing the making of Orsinium's bears, including the mount and the cub and some other little goodies with lead figure artist Tatiana Malinko and our animation director, Sean Miller.
That's right. After that, we'll have the Ask Us Anything, where we're answering your forum questions. We saw a lot of people last episode really wanted us to answer some questions. Well, we've got them, so stay tuned.
We'll do it this time.
Yeah.
After that, we will talk about some upcoming game features in the next DLC with lead combat designer Eric Wrobel.
And of course, giveaways throughout the show.
Everyone's favorite. Oh, look, there's our heads.
Oh,
It just magically got fixed.
I'm shorter. So up first, we've got official news.
You know, it's funny, somebody in chat just mentioned hoverboards. I just want to say, this guy has a hoverboard.
No, he doesn't.
And he dressed up as Marty McFly on Back to the Future Day.
I mean, that's possibly true, but the hoverboard's not real. It's just a replica, so it doesn't actually work. So I just stand on it, and it doesn't do anything.
You just use your imagination.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. So it's a very exciting week. A lot of things happened, right? Like what?
Well, I don't know. We released a PTS patch 2.2.2 last Monday, and we will actually be doing another PTS patch on Monday, what's the date?
26th?
Is it? Whatever Monday is.
I'm very good at the math.
26th.
Yep.
That will be our last incremental patch on the PTS before Orsinium goes live on PC and Mac.
Which is the following week, yeah.
Quite exciting.
Yeah.
There are a lot of fixes going into this incremental, about 10 pages worth. We've put in all the final music in Orsinium, replaced all of that Robo VO with the real VO.
Nice.
We know that some people ran into a DirectX error when you initially tried to install PTS. That is fixed with this patch, so it won't be an issue once we go live. And there's also an issue that we saw some people reporting, specifically with the character copy, where the item stacks of 200 would just kind of randomly get decreased to 183. So that is going to be fixed. It's either in the PTS patch or once we go live, but either way, it won't be an issue when we go live. Lots of other things. So you'll just have to look forward to the patch notes that we'll post Monday.
Very nice. Yeah, stay tuned. And of course, Orsinium is coming out very soon. November 2nd for PC and Mac. We've got the 17th for Xbox One players and the 18th for PS4 players. And of course, man, the patch notes, you're going to be reading those, getting excited.
Gosh, so many notes.
But tons of new content with Orsinium. The base game patch, of course, comes out that day as well. So you'll download it. You'll have all these cool features. We're going over some of those later in the show with Eric Wrobel, so you can stay tuned for that. So what else is new? Well,
the Witches Festival items went on sale in the Crown store yesterday for all platforms.
How cool are these, by the way?
We've seen some really cool screenshots of everyone running around with their new polymorphs, their disgusting zombie horses.
Disgustingly awesome.
I'm sorry. I mean, look at that thing.
He's got flies that go around him. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All three of these are available until November 2nd. So if you want to get them, go into the Crown store for all platforms now until November 2nd because they're limited time items. So don't miss out.
They are.
Yeah.
So along with the PTS issues that, I'm just kind of flinging lint on the floor. Along with the PTS issues that we already talked about, there are a few other issues that are going to be fixed with Orsinium or that we're working on. kind of just scribbled some things really fast right before this. There is an issue that everyone's been running into, not everybody, a lot of people have been running into since Imperial City went live, where you would just randomly fall through the world. We are pretty confident that we have fixed this, and it will be going into the Orsinium patch on November 2nd. There's also an issue where anyone who's hit the Alliance War rank cap is not receiving the rewards for the worthy. We're actually working on a fix for this, so it's likely not going in when Orsinium goes live, but shortly after that.
Cool.
And also the Xbox Crowns issue for ESO Plus members. Still working on that. If you're running into this issue, please contact support. Just put in a ticket through our help webpage. I think it's just help.elderscrollsonline.com.
Exactly, yeah.
Send them an email, let them know the issue. They'll likely ask you for a proof of purchase, so just send them that and they'll get you all straightened out while we're kind of working on the fix for that.
Exactly.
And of course, loading screens. Still working on that one too. With the last PC incremental patch, we put in kind of additional tracking on the back end to help us identify exactly what's going on with those. So still a thing, we know, and we are working on it.
Yep, definitely still investigating that for sure.
Well, we are just moving right along here.
Yeah.
We are going to get into our next segment, which is the Orsinium bears and art goodness and all that stuff. So. Here we are. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys.
So joining us here is our lead figure artist, Tatiana Malinko, which for those of you who have been watching ESO Live for a while, she was one of the first ones to appear on our show as a guest.
True.
So welcome back.
Yeah, that was kind of scary. And I was actually hoping to look at least as tall as Gina with the camera, but I guess they fixed it. And
There you go.
there is no more hope.
I'll just do this. And then also our animation director, Sean Miller, back on the show.
Yeah,
I'm
welcome
actually
back.
not going to do this for the entire time. So you guys want to just dive right into bear animations,
Bear
I
fun.
think is where we're starting.
Wanted to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
the bear because it's one of the new monsters that we put into Orsinium. Now we already have bears all over in Elder Scrolls, but they have a different role in Orsinium, and we wanted to do something special with them. You guys have seen the picture of them as mounts and whatnot. So making them mounts, we wanted to make sure that they match the player. They fit more into the gritty kind of environment that we have in Orsinium. So we went back in and we took a look at it all the way through, from modeling to the rigging to the animation to create something.
How our existing bears, would they even hold up? Would they actually do what a mount has to do? Because, you know, mount animations and proportions, you know, there are very particular requirements, which, you know, monsters usually we don't have to concern about that. So we actually have determined that we will need to make brand new bears for the Orsinium.
And for those of you who played on PTS, you've likely seen these mounts running around.
Yeah. So here is one of the slides of just a figure team production. It's just a production shot. Obviously, the finished bear doesn't look quite like this, but what we're looking at is a high resolution, just a sculpture in the software called ZBrush with just a basic diffuse texture applied. It's a work in progress here. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the creation of the actual model. When we just start this whole process, it's not that just, you know, a figure artist grabs the concept and starts going. We actually have a kickoff meeting where people from all departments that are going to be, you know, involved in creating the bear, and that means concept, animation, rigging, and obviously the modeling department. We all get together and we actually discuss what is our plan and what do we plan to actually achieve, and the type of performance we want this creature to be able to do, you know, how it will move, how it will animate. At that point, we might already have some kind of rough concept, that because, you know, we as artists already have some kind of idea where we want to go with it, and at that point we actually review the concept and we talk about everything that this creature needs to be able to do, and we decide, you know, like, okay, we go back to our desks and, you know, what each person is going to be working on, and the modeling starts really quickly at that point. You know, an artist, figure artist, just created a very kind of like rough approximation of the shape of the bear based on the initial concept, and that just happens within like hours, and it's passed immediately to the rigging department. department where they, it's not an actual rig, but just a skeleton, enough bones to move it around and just to pose it and see like, can it actually do what the bear would do? And some of the, and then, you know, animators would sometimes get their hands on that rig and just kind of try to do the most iconic bear poses. There's a lot of photo and video reference that is considered. And then when our meeting reconvenes the next time, again, with all of the people involved, we're actually, the first one was actually very exciting because we looked at this gray shaded model of a bear. It doesn't have a texture, it's not really even, the shape is not final, but all of a sudden we see this iconic like bear trying to climb a tree, and everybody looked at it and it's like, oh my god, it looks like a bear. So we kind of knew that we're on the right track with it. And so why we do this is the figure artist who's working on it, besides the anatomy and, you know, realism of it, there is other, you know, things that this bear needs to be able to do. You know, a person needs to be able to sit on it and look correct. A bear needs to be able to reach to the ground and, you know, eat stuff off the ground. So it's like the length of certain joints might need to be adjusted. So we actually take the feedback from the initial set of animation testing, and we incorporated it to our model so that, but at that point, a next proxy is created. Proxy is like this low-res model that is passed again to the, you know, riggers and animators, so they are not blocked by our figure team. They can continue working on it, and right here you see actually a first shader test. As soon as, it doesn't matter how fantastic the model looks in our software with the texture, the actual test is to put it in game in the world immediately, even if it's not animated. Right in here it's static, it was not animated yet, but we need to evaluate how the shader reacts to light in the world. You know, does it read well, you know, does it look good, because we have to make adjustments to it, you know, based on, you know, what we see, so that it looks the best way it can in our game, not in some other software. You know, obviously right after the bear, we're kind of skipping a little bit here, but we created a bear cub, and this is the first time that we really put a lot of effort into making a baby animal, and we wanted to make sure that we do it right, that it's not just scaled down tiny bear, that it actually looks like a baby. It has, you know, like bigger head, and it looks cute, and it's proportioned correctly. This is not the, might not be the actual size of the cub, because this is just our comparison, just to see the visually if it looks appropriate, and then there were some adjustments done to it. This here screenshot actually shows the bear model was completed first, and then, you know, we needed to block out really quickly just the gear, that the saddle and all of the gear, so that the player could actually be at this point positioned on the bear. And it takes quite a while to complete all the gear, but having this rough model passed back to, you know, rigging and animators enables these guys to not sit idle, but just continue to work on the animation. So by the time everything is finished, by the time the model finished on the figure team side, most of the animations are actually finished and ready to go.
Yeah, we have everything at least blocked in first pass. We're looking at it in game, not just in the editor. So by doing this, we can get right into the game and be testing things, so that at the end everything can kind of really come together. You know, here you see some of the stages of where we're working together with our technical artists to bring the rig. That's the control mechanisms for the bear. You know, we want to make sure that the animators
Oh yeah, they did
we get a
quite
little beat behind them there. We want to be able to have the articulation to get the kinds of animations that we want easily. You know, here you can see we're making the run cycle with the bear, and it really is kind of a challenge to be able to get something to move really naturally, but in a behavior that you don't normally see, like having a person riding it. We also put a lot of effort into the area of the face and the mouth with the bear, because not only is it a mount and you're going to be able to walk up to it and see it up close, but as a monster we wanted to make sure that we could get a sense of the ferocity and all that. So we put a lot more controls and articulation into the face. So you'll see we can animate the lips, we can animate the teeth and the tongue, and get different kinds of
this actually because, you know, we wanted to have a custom rear back animation for this mount, because clearly it's not a horse, it can't just, you know, stand up on its hind legs. So it's the rear up animation is actually bear roaring, but we wanted to make it like really cool and realistic, which actually made it necessary for us to really sculpt this like really fleshy lips, and quite a bit of rigging actually went into like rigging the mouth so that the lips lips actually like all shake and shiver, and
Yeah.
then there's obviously the animated tongue and everything, so it actually looks quite realistic and interesting when
Exactly.
during the rear up animation.
Yeah, it was super detailed. Like even
Yeah, you get the wiggly lip.
Yeah.
but
We
It's
it's-
looked at a lot of
It brings it to
videos
life.
of bears
Yeah.
growling at people.
it's one of the neat things about real wild bear. Their muzzle just really
You like
gets.
that?
It's very animated.
It moves a lot,
highly
yeah.
movable. It's not like humans' face. I wish I
Yeah.
could do that, but like I don't quite,
Yeah.
emote as well as a bear.
It's definitely has the Orsinium bear definitely has a lot more in common with like a grizzly bear, or that general kind of a looseness to the face and,
Sure.
and the ferocity to it. But getting in there and then now having to make the bear do things, because each of our mounts, they all have to be able to do kind of the same thing. We don't want to have one mount have a distinct advantage over the other.
Sure.
So being able to get it in and make sure that it can run at the speeds that you would be able to run at and jump, which is not something bears are known for doing, is actually an interesting challenge. Because the bears, they have this awesome rolling movement to them when they're running, but when you put a rider on it, if the rider follows that along, you feel like the rider's spine would snap, because it's either flopping all over or it's trying to adjust to it. So we took a look more like it's a professional rider. When a horse is really moving underneath, they're not sitting with their butt in the saddle; they're lifting themselves up, and that allowed a lot of the dynamic movement of the creature underneath it.
They have built-in gyroscope.
And we, even so, we had to find a balance with how much roll there is in a real bear's run with something that would be too distracting and kind of going back and forth.
Cartoony and like over the
Exactly.
top.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Did you practice riding real bears to
Yes,
get that animation?
yes, we did. I saw it.
We did try to get a real bear here in the studio, but
Yeah.
that got nixed.
It was
so.
not approved.
Couldn't imagine why.
No, not at all.
Some of the things that we also did, one of the reasons we put some of the extra articulation and the reworking of the rig is we're taking a more detailed approach to the creatures in the world now. We're trying to give more life to the world, so we're putting more living world animations. When you see critters in the world, they're not just standing in place. They're going to be moving around. They're going to be foraging. They're going to be doing things that you might see those creatures do in the wild or sometimes in the zoo. So it was a lot of fun working with design to figure out the kinds of scenarios that they could be in to help bring life to it. And we've got we also have stuff that we put on with the cub as well. So as she said, this is one of the first baby animals that we did.
Yeah, and then we really wanted to make sure that it's done actually properly, that it actually feels like a little baby animal and not just scaled down monster that we just
Sure.
place to follow you around, which brings us to the pet behavior. kind
Yeah,
of,
so we put in some different kinds of behaviors both in the wild so that they have interactions with their parents, but also as a pet. We wanted to make sure that the pets have something a little bit more unique. When you get a pet and it's a creature that it has a little more personality, because all of our pets, when we look at our pets, they feel like they've got more personality, and we wanted to give that to the bear. So we went through and we kind of took a look at trying to find a way to capture the playfulness of the baby bears, because they're always kind of play fighting and doing those kinds of things. Now that butterfly behavior is unique just to the pet. That's something they'd only get if you have it as a pet.
Sure.
It's adorable.
Yes.
So we know that you also did some interesting animations for Alga, who was one of the main characters that you're going to run into in Orsinium.
Yeah, that's actually part of that living world kind of a thing. We're
she is.
taking a look at the detail of the characters. So the character team, they give unique dress to all the
Yeah,
unique
we'll make
characters.
sure that they look kind of interesting. We give them hair adornments, that sort of stuff, body type, clothes.
But we wanted to give more personality, something that felt a little bit different. So we took a look at not only the characters that are in the world, but specifically some of the special characters in the story. We want you to connect with them. We want you to be able to feel like they're a bit more different. And so what we did was we dug into their animation sets. We gave them more unique animations. And as part of that, our animation pipeline, we do video reference a lot of times to get performances. But it was really difficult with the animations for this character. We wanted to get this matronly kind of powerful, confident orc woman. We just weren't really quite getting it. So what we did actually, we actually asked Tatiana to come
That's
in.
why I'm laughing. That's how he sees me. That's how everybody
Exactly.
sees me.
So we brought Tatiana in, and she was nice
I
enough
didn't have to
come
act for it at all.
That's how she talks to all the other figure artists.
in. And she went through some of the scenes that we have, some of the lines, and basically kind of gave life to that character. And when we go through it, we don't necessarily use motion capture. We are all keyframe.
Right.
But the principles
Yeah.
behind it of getting a good performance, a good acting performance, is something that we were able to do. And Tatiana was able to bring something that was a kind of unique timing, unique mannerisms that we wanted to give to Algo. We did that for Algo. We did it for Kurog. But here we're going to show you some of the things that we did. So we showed you
Yeah.
the animation, the video
And then
reference,
the
but
stuff.
here's the animation that we do with our block proxy model. And it was really, the animators did a great job of capturing that personality, the timing, the intensity of the gestures. It was also really interesting working with Tatiana because although Tatiana has some of a theater background, which made it easier for her to get into character, the character changes a lot based on different things. And when we were first doing it, we weren't quite capturing the intensity that we were looking for.
Sure.
And so we tried doing a couple of different things. Like initially we were using a lighter prop for the staff.
Yeah, just stuff. It seemed like it's a right length. So, but it was just like this lightweight wood. So I thought, well, that might be a good idea. But it kind of seemed like it didn't give the gravitas to the character that it needs. She didn't feel powerful enough. And then I thought, maybe we should use a heavier prop, which was actually to my own detriment because I had to do it for like half an hour.
Yeah.
We chose this super heavy stuff with. It was actually a barbell of some sort.
Yeah.
It was really heavy. I was really happy to see the end of this session because imagine me doing that. But it actually like completely changed the posture,
Sure.
and because Alga is someone who's like really overbearing, and she doesn't really think much of any other people but her son. And it actually kind of gave me the opportunity to actually change the posture where I actually felt more powerful doing that. And this is not obviously my voice that you hear, but I did have I did need to read some kind of lines that are kind of approximate what she's saying, just to give me motivation, like what am I trying to tell people. And there was actually something else interesting that we had to change in the performance. Sean was just kind of, for some reason, he wasn't impressed with my acting skills, and I just couldn't figure out why, because I'm perfect always. But then you might have noticed that the English is not my native language. I don't know what did give it
No,
up.
I don't think anyone
Sean
does.
actually, eventually, he actually zeroed in on that fact, and he kind of saw me translating lines in my head, and he suggested that I just say the same lines but just in my native language, which is Russian, and and I switched to speaking Russian, and all of a sudden look, Sean got very excited, so I assumed that it actually kind of improved the performance.
It did. The whole energy of the performance changed from something that she had to think about to something that just flowed, and the intensity. There is. There's an emotional component, I think, to all language, and it just really shifted everything really nicely. And
Nice.
so you'll see, we throughout her performance, and then there were some places where we then took those base ideas and expanded them into other kinds of gestures. But it was a really great seed. We did the same thing with Kurog. We took a look at what
Who
he
is
was doing.
King Kurog? Would you like to tell us?
I did some of the reference for
There you go.
Kurog.
Yes,
there he is.
They needed somebody arrogant and jerkish, and
He didn't have to act either. Yeah.
so the goal though was to give him some life to things, and so we went and we tried different standing postures, sitting postures, different kinds of gestures, some more theatrical and some smaller, and you'll see some of those get translated in. But what they allowed us to do was then create a new persona for him. So when he struts around, he walks as a much more powerful, arrogant kind of a character. He stands out, which is the king of the orcs. He really should.
Sure.
And it's a lot of fun to do, but it really informs the performances of the characters, and it's something that we're really excited about in Orsinium, because we've added more of those types of things in it than we have ever before.
Yeah.
And I think it brings the world to life, and you get a sense of what those characters are like.
Yeah, it's definitely story-driven content for sure, and these characters come to life. In a couple weeks, you guys will see exactly what we're talking about.
This is true.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking in chat if all of the old bears that already existed before Orsinium, if they're going to be getting a lot of these animation updates.
No, that's a good question. What we're doing is where these bears are unique to Orsinium, although I think you will see these bears in a lot of content where we want to see them moving forward. But they have a different feel than the old bears, so it's the kind of thing that when we get
it's
it,
a completely different, not only model, but the rig, you can't just translate the animations directly to the other rig.
No. So, but rather than go back in and change areas that people have fallen in love with or really like, we're looking to move things forward as we go into new areas. And you know, as you go through, you'll see other things that we did that to. You'll see things that we did to the harpies, and you'll see things that we did to some of the other creatures that are in there that we change them so that they fit into the zone, and they don't necessarily make sense where they are in other places in the world. So going forward, will you always see the Orsinium bear in every level? I think that'll be something that we'll take a look at the zone that you were in and the kinds of things that are going on to it. And just like if if you see a panda bears have a different physiology than say a Kodiak bear or whatever. So there are opportunities for us to kind of explore.
Cool. So right before this stream, Tatiana actually came down and was like, I was looking through the forums and I saw a lot of questions that people were asking that I want to answer. And we were like, no, you can't answer any questions. Okay, fine. You can answer some questions. So did you want to go through some of the ones that you saw?
Obviously, I'm going to only answer questions that, I personally can answer and I know knowledge of. I'm not going to comment on anything that is beyond my area of expertise.
Sure.
And this is more than just bears. So
a little bit more than bears. So one of the first one that jumped at me was like, where is our wolf pet? Why did you guys skip directly from the dogs and cats? You went to the bear cabin, like where is the wolves? So the answer is yes, the wolf pet is actually coming, and we did want to do it already a while ago, but at the same time we want the model and its animations and behavior to be of the highest quality possible, and just grabbing the older model and the rig that we have in games already for several years, it just wouldn't do the job. It wouldn't do it justice. So we decided, to kind of give the wolf some upgrade, and we're actually actively working in, making it happen.
Nice.
Exciting.
Wolf's
Everyone
coming.
in chat is like,
Yeah.
wolf
Nice.
pet.
So the next one I would like to address is, when will the hero costumes be available?
Yep.
Oh, the ones
Yes.
from our trailers.
All of them are in production, and we're working on them, and the first one should be available very early next year.
Nice. Yeah, they're not that easy to just turn up, so we gotta put time into them.
No, it's
And I've seen the work in progress. They look pretty badass.
Yes.
Yeah.
They look good.
Then another one is more of a like, why can't we wear tabards over polymorphs? This is actually a technical problem that we're quite aware of, and I just want to explain how it works so people understand why can't we just turn it on like that. Because polymorphs, it has to do with the way that texture is drawn onto the character. We can have only a single texture sheet, and the way that the polymorphs are created and textured is distinctly different from playable characters on which tabards usually authored for. So it's not as easy as just grabbing a tabard and dropping it onto polymorph. There is quite a bit of technical work needs to go into it, but we are actually looking into possible solutions in the future. Then another one is actually, I know it's been asked many times, why can't we tint the costumes from the store?
Oh, using the
so
dice.
It's the kind of similar to the polymorph problem, whereas you have to understand that the costume is not an item in the sense that the armor set is. It does not have a sort of bucket where the tinting information would be held, So it's an actual technical limitation in the costumes right now, but we actually, all of us, we would like to make it tintable. We would like for the players to apply custom dyes, and we're actually like looking into the solution to that problem. Another one that I found interesting, are you guys working on ancient Nordic style? The answer is not at this time. We haven't planned it yet, but we are actually, please keep writing feedback and ask us for things, because we do read the forums, and it actually helps us plan for the future, because we want to make sure that we are creating content that gets the players excited and something that they actually would like to see, that we don't just invent it out of our heads. And another, the last one, Sean probably would be able to answer better than me, but people are asking what else can my pet do but follow me around.
Right, and that's something that we're looking at and working on right now too, is we want to be able to make sure that we want to give more life to the pets. We want more personality, we want them to be able to do more. So we're looking into, as we go forward, doing more unique things for the pets that you buy. So you'll see things in upcoming releases. We don't have specific dates on things, but you can see already with things like the bear and some of the other things that are coming in that each of them have some unique elements to them, and we want more personality. We want them to feel like we do with our real pets.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
they're ours, and they're we always look at our pets and we think they're smarter than everybody else's pets, and they do
And
other things.
cuter.
So,
I know
and
my
cuter.
cats are there cuter.
Making sure that pets aren't
They're
just
cuter than her ferrets. Yeah.
we don't want them to just be pets.
Wow.
My little Khajiits are the best in the world.
Speaking of Khajiit, I have to say this. Bear Ninja 88 said that he loves your accent, and you should voice all the Khajiits in the game.
You know what? I agree because Khajiits are my favorite, but for some bizarre reason I was only allowed to act
To do
as
an orc? Yeah, that's not fair.
and some people here see me only as an orc.
Maybe in the
I
future.
know I'm a cat. I do know that.
There are random people who keep posting in Russian, and I'm sorry, I have no idea what they're saying, but they're saying something.
Maybe I'll look at it, when we have a
Afterwards, yeah.
recording of it. Might
sure
be
it's okay.
interesting. Yes.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up for this segment. So thank you both very much for
Yeah, thank
coming
you guys.
down
Oh,
and
yes,
Oh, yes,
explaining
well,
everything.
thank you for inviting us.
Of
It
course.
was very
Can you say something in Russian for
exciting.
everyone?
Welcome, my war.
Welcome to Orsinium. Добро пожаловать в нашу войну.
Ah, nice.
Go ahead and repeat that, Jason.
Did.
All right, well, we are going to move on to our next segment, which is Ask Us Anything, but thanks again for
Thank you, guys.
joining us.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
So before you watch us talk for a long period of time, we want to do a giveaway. So of course we've got these delightful PopCap figurines. We have this guy, don't have enough hands.
I can
Didn't
hold
plan
one.
well.
There.
And this one. So of course if you do win, you can pick which one you want, the Breton, the Nord, or the High Elf.
What's the keyword, Jason?
I think the key word, according to Kai, is weasel, because pop goes the weasel. And this is a pop cap. So type weasel into Twitch chat right now. We're going to give it a couple seconds and see who wins.
Probably a couple more seconds.
Maybe a couple more
A
seconds.
few seconds. This is actually good stalling time, so I can get this stuff together.
Sure.
Should I actually be using the printout that you gave me?
Yeah. Why
Well,
not?
because I pulled the electronic version and it looks totally different. I don't know what I downloaded.
Big mistake.
Hold on.
Big mistake.
I'll be right back.
So,
Shoved it all the way under the couch.
how about them
Why did I do that?
ravens?
Okay, well, it's one of these papers. I found kind of a treasure trove of papers down here.
All right, well, we have a winner. You want me to just read it?
Could you please
Well,
read it slowly though, because I'm not ready.
Let me take my time. The winner of the PopCap figure is
Drum roll.
Queen Beavery.
Oh, I thought it was Queen Irene.
Congratulations. Kai is going to reach out to you in Twitch chat, check your inbox or the other tab, and give your information to him. And of course, let him know which one of these guys you want. This one, this one, or this one. Very cool. Did I stall enough time?
I think so. I think this is the one I want. I guess we'll
right,
find
well,
out soon enough.
That's okay.
Boy, this is awkward.
I'm gonna I'll just start.
There we go. Go ahead. I think if you start, then I'll figure out what's going on here.
So,
And
Ask Us Anything is where we answer the questions that a lot of you guys have submitted on the forums. So, if you're going through this segment and you're like, hey, I have some questions, well, head on over to the forums and look for the Ask Us Anything thread, give us your question, and the rest is history.
so organized. I'm ready.
So let's do it.
Go ahead.
The first question we have is from Kazi. Are there any plans to release a Pony Gore pet on consoles? And we spoke to our team, and they said,
Answer is
survey says, we'll make sure to get one on the schedule.
there's also a winky face. I don't wink though.
That's exciting.
That is exciting. All right, next question is from Ultima Joe, right?
You're right.
I think we have the same paper. I think we're on the same page here, literally. Will weapon and undaunted skill lines ever get their own ultimate? Will bound weapons ever make it into the game? We are always in favor of expanding the current set of player abilities, and if you have any cool ideas, we'd love to see them. So go ahead and post it on the forums,
Nice.
and we'll make sure Eric Wrobel takes a look.
Yeah. Cool.
Because he's the one that would be doing that.
He would, not me, not you, him. Next up, from Shades of Kin. On several occasions, I've been outside of the red zone of an enemy's attack, particularly bosses, and yet still the damage according to my health bar and add-on meters.
Shedding.
I'm very distracted by your
I'm sorry.
hair. Seems off. So is there any indication that the red zone is bigger than what is being displayed in the game, or are the enemy attacks happening before the animation is displayed? For all the red enemy telegraph abilities, we separately set the radius for the ability and the visual effect. So there may be a case where the two are not matching up. But if you run into a situation like that, please let us know, and we can check it out and see if maybe something needs to be corrected.
Great.
Cool.
I think it's actually my dog's hair I keep finding all over the place. Anyway, next question is from Joy Division. What was the reasoning behind changing the Templar Eclipse skill so it can only affect one target? In Cyrodiil and in dungeons, often a Templar is confronted by multiple opponents. Yes? We did this to balance the additional damage that Eclipse does when the effect ends. That means each individual ability cast is more powerful, but you will have to more closely choose which enemy that you cast it on.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, Solace of Shadows. It is said that we Bosmer, as well as the Altmer and the Dunmer, may live as long as 200 to 300 years. How long would a Khajiit, Argonian, or Orc live, bearing accident, sickness, or murder, of course?
Of course.
Curuntil, did I do that? Curuntil.
I think it's Curuntil.
Curuntil, gosh, I can never do it. Curuntil of Somerset says, like humans, the beast races live brief lives, less than 100 years, often decades less. Why? Individuals of the beast folk who attain 75 years are actually considered elderly.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Next question from Shug. Are there... Huh?
What's up, Shug?
So, are there any plans to make tanking with two-hand or dual-wield viable? The way I would do it is use the heavy armor tree, get a total that reduces DPS to increase mitigation. Well, top tanks already DPS like this because they have so much survivability without the shield. Some boss fights are more DPS oriented instead of based on taking huge hits. This means it's more useful for the group if you can deal more damage. Slotting Inner Fire is a good tool for damage-oriented tanks since it lets you taunt without having to slot the one-handed ability Puncture. As a tank, some players like to have a shield on one bar to take big hits, or two-hand or dual-wield on the other ability bar for DPS. We do think the idea of having a two-handed ability that reduces damage but increases survivability would be fun. Especially since you could get healing from Rally and a damage shield from Brawler.
Very nice.
Got it.
Got it. Next up, we have a question from Fuzzy Brick. Pretty great name. Will Nirncrux drop in Orsinium? Nirncrux is region-specific to Craglorn, but we have recently made it easier to acquire them by expanding which regions it can drop from. So it is now also available in Lower Craglorn.
Indeed it is.
Indeed it is.
Next
Your turn.
question. We are just moving right through these.
Moving right along.
Once the Japanese version is released, and in case you missed it, we are releasing a Japanese version of the game, will we be able to play with the Japanese audio while keeping the English, French, or German interface and text? The Japanese voice actors are awesome. It would be great. It would work exactly like all the other languages do. So if you change the language on your PC or console, the text and audio will also change with it.
Nice. Very
Easy
cool.
enough.
Easy enough. This one's from Black Sheep Art. I always want to say Black Sheep Part, or I don't know what I want to say.
Sheep part.
Would you entertain the idea of a horse 2 players can ride? Possible crown store item upgrade or carry capacity upgrade? It's definitely a cool idea. It's just not something we are actively working on. But keep those ideas coming.
Okay. Oh, this one. Next question is from Eloa, saying a lot of players, including myself, are not happy to see that the very rare glass motif to be sold in the Crown Store so early after the release of Update 7. I was more expecting it to be available in the Crown Store around the Orsinium release. Will you consider in the future to give more time for players to obtain valuable items before introducing these items to the Crown Store?
Great question.
It is a good question, and we definitely understood what you were saying as soon as we watched the video that you made. So the run-up to Imperial City was pretty busy for us, being that it was the first post-console launch game update that we had. And honestly, we just didn't give enough thought to how we would deploy the glass motif in the game and on the Crown Store. The release of Glass was planned long ago, and it was actually supposed to be released in the store and in the game at the same time. Somewhere along the way, the release kind of became staggered, and we didn't communicate this to our crafting community, which was a mistake. As you know, this led to lots of crafters spending time diligently gathering glass components, only to kind of just pull the rug out from under them unexpectedly, and that's not what we wanted to do. So, to answer your question, the plan is to allow crafters to reap the rewards of their labors for a fair amount of time before we allow others access to the style through the Crown Store. This will most likely align with DLC releases. So, as you expressed above, with the understanding that some DLCs, like Orsinium, may come a little more quickly on the heels of its predecessor and require a little bit of padding. We're also watching the motif acquisition rates to ensure that they're meeting expectations, and we're going to adjust those as needed. So all in all, we definitely appreciate hearing your feedback on this, and in this case, you were correct, Eloa, and we'll make sure to handle this better in the future.
Yep. So thank you for bringing that to attention. Of course, we're always listening to your feedback, and you heard Gina. Why don't you read that again in case...
Should I just say it all over again?
Just in case someone just got here. Here's one from Mr. Dankles. I like that. I don't know what it means, but I like it. Will we ever see small-scale PvP, nothing that deals with Cyrodiil?
I heard a few people were asking about this.
It's weird. Last episode, there were some people in chat that asked this question.
Just a couple.
Well, in terms of... like in the short term, no, we don't have any plans for this, but it is something long term that we are looking into. So no promises, but we're definitely looking into it for the long term. See what happens.
There you go.
There you go.
Just as an aside, I just saw somebody mention in chat in passing about the zombie horse's mane kind of just bugging out as you're running around. That is something we know about, and it's actually going to be fixed once Orsinium goes live.
Yep. Just don't wait till then to buy it because it's gone on the second from the Crown Store. So.
All right, so next question from Ask Us Anything from Film. Is there a discussion on whether console players, specifically for me on the PS4, will have an option to toggle damage numbers, health magicka, stamina numbers, and experience numbers on the screen? If already being discussed, is there a timeline as to when we can expect something like this? So scrolling combat text is coming with the next DLC. Not Orsinium, but the one after that. We're also working on updating the nameplates and the ability to show character names instead of gamer tags and online IDs, but that's going to come sometime after.
The next DLC, I guess.
Yeah, one of the next DLCs. Yeah. It's not clear on this, but it's not coming with Orsinium. How about that?
Cool. Here's one from User. Can people bring their dogs to work at ZeniMax? And we asked Rich Lambert because I'm sure a lot of people here would like to do that. And he said our carpets wouldn't like that, though I'd love to bring my Great Dane. So.
I'd love to bring my dog too.
I'm sorry.
I mean, come on.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong with a bunch of dogs running around with carpet? Next question from Furious Fridge. When are you going to allow some form of training dummies to be used for testing builds? We have talked about this on and off internally, and it always just gets pushed down on the priority list a little bit, but it would make sense to come in with, say, housing.
Cool. 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 Here's one from Conquistador. When you wear a hood, you get certain shadows from your hairstyles, and you also lose your adornment. Is there any chance that this is going to be addressed? We are in the early discussions on how to improve the hair and adornment system for our barbershop update, which will happen in the future. This could also be a bug, so we'll definitely take a look at. I know you submitted some pictures on the forum, so we can take a look at this specific instance. But yeah, if you notice anything like this, just let us know. We can take a look.
All right, next question from Earn Cool. Is the Steam controller supported too? For PC's controller support. Oh, gosh, I read that differently in my head. I apologize. We officially support the functionality provided by the Windows Xbox controller driver, but we haven't tested the Steam controller.
Very nice.
Haven't officially tested it.
Haven't officially. We have one last one. This is from Hero of None. Why is the Morag Tong set a dark elf organization in origin in Redguard style? This answer comes from Naryu Varian by way of Lawrence.
A lot of people love Naryu.
They do.
I'm just throwing that out there.
And they said, "Shh, it's a disguise. Hey, move along, outsider. People are trying to do a job here." So, there you go.
I know one of the questions that we put on Twitter recently asking people what their favorite character was, Naryu was really up there.
Yeah?
As one of the favorites.
Who won?
Raz, of course.
Of course.
Everyone's favorite. Why not?
I don't know that I would pick Raz over Cadwell if I was like
It's close.
doing like a
It's
Final
close.
Fantasy bracket of favorite characters. Like if those two were in the final four. I don't know sports, so I have to do it with ESO characters. But there you go.
Well, before we get into our last segment, maybe we should do another giveaway.
Let's do it.
Why not?
We've got, of course, any t-shirt, but we're going to show this one. So just in case.
Is this going to be like a random, you'll just win whatever we have in your size?
Exactly. Depending on what size that you want, we'll see what we got. But if, for instance, this awesome Old Mary t-shirt, which is awesome.
Is it awesome?
I think it's pretty awesome. Remember that first show that I ever did where I said awesome a lot, and then I went back and I rewatched it,
Yep.
and it was like more than 30 times?
We'll sometimes do that after shows where we'll just go back and look at chat and see how they react to things.
Oh, it was a
and
fun time.
boy, there's sometimes where it's like, oh, you just say too many times, and now so self-conscious about it, but I don't know what else to say. So,
Okay.
well, we should do
So,
giveaway.
in chat, we want you to type the word
Oh, it just changed. Choice,
choice.
because you have a choice of random T-shirts that we have.
In life, you have a choice. And we're glad you chose. I messed up. We're glad, you chose
you
ESO
choose
Live.
us.
You choosed us. You chose and choosing. So we're going to wait a couple more seconds and see what happens here.
Everyone with their choice.
Everyone's got a choice in life.
So I know some of the shirts we have the 3 Alliance ones.
Yep.
We have others that they're different Alliance ones than this one. They have like each of the Alliance faction logos on
Yep.
them. What do we else we have? I think we have some with just the game logo, but it really just depends on what
does.
size we have.
All right, well, you ready to pick a winner?
Yes.
I know I am.
Pick me.
I don't know who said that. I don't know who said that. All right, well,
Kai,
the winner
pick us up. Here he comes.
is, go ahead.
Really? Cro-Magnon head.
Congratulations, Cro-Magnon Head. You just won an ESO t-shirt.
You just won a random T-shirt.
So, of course, Kai's going to contact you in Twitch, inbox, or your other tag. And, yeah, let him know which shirt you want and what your size is and all that goodness. And
Indeed.
happy Friday. All right, so up next, what do we have?
Some game features with Eric Wrobel.
Cool. Eric Wrobel.
Yeah, made it.
Season. Oh.
Right on time.
Awkward.
Perfect.
So, we have lots of features going into the base game patch, including, yes, including subtitles. These are actually going to be defaulted off when you first get into the game,
Yep.
but you just have to go into the options menu to turn them on.
Yeah, they look really good too.
Yeah.
They look like
Our
subtitles.
team did a great work. They really helped sort of like blend it into the world.
Exactly,
it
they
looks,
do.
Yeah, looks like a part of the game.
I like them.
Looks like subtitles. Also, we actually added the mercenary motif into the last PTS patch. This is new.
New.
Yep, looks really cool.
Have to collect the chapters or the books, which drop from Undaunted Chess, and then you get laurels from dungeon end bosses. So just to clear up a few little confusing points, I know Michael Schroeder already posted this on the forums, but just in case you missed it, we said in the patch notes, which I totally don't have open, it was something along the lines of, if you don't know any of the styles, you're not going to get any laurels.
We didn't
However,
want to like give you things that weren't really useful for you.
exactly.
basically.
Even if you know just one chapter of the style, the drop rate for laurels is 50%. It's not like 1% or 5 or 10. And then it goes up from there with each chapter that you know. Laurels are bind on account. So we said that they were bind on pickup, which they are, but that's account wide, not just for that particular player.
So if you have like a crafting alt character, you can trade them to him, and then
Yep.
he can make the stuff for you.
Exactly. And also, we just want to clarify that the mercenary motif is actually more common than Glass and Zivkin. So
Yeah, it's a lot
you will
easier to get.
likely get it a lot easier
Yeah.
than those.
Nice.
Moving on, do you want to get into some battle leveling updates?
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And overall, I just want to say that my team, we sort of were focusing more on systems. Like I talked about, the champion caps and the catch-up stuff last time, and then, this time we'll be battle leveling and looking for group. So we did.
I'm just going to do this real quick.
With the abilities, we mainly just did bug fixes. This update, while we're focusing on these major changes, and then for the update coming after this one, we'll be working on balance stuff and doing a lot of ability buffs and stuff like that.
Nice.
So battle leveling.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
All right.
Tell us all about
Jump
it.
Teach
on
us.
in.
Teach us, Sensei.
All right. So with battle leveling, we wanted something that would work well with the new battle leveling zones, because currently how battle leveling works on live, your character just has this little like cookie cutter set of stats where every battle level character has the exact same amount of health and the exact same magicka and the exact same stamina, which is kind of boring, and it doesn't feel like you're playing your character, it feels like you're, playing this other character that someone else, decided for you.
Sure.
So we wanted to feel more like your character, and we wanted people who were playing through Hrothgar to have a better sense of progression where they go through, they complete a quest, they get a new item, and that item is meaningful to them. Whereas before, it didn't care about the item stats, but now, you equip a higher level item, you actually see your stats go up. So getting into some of the nuts and bolts of the system, the character's stat picks. So when you level up and you get, you can pick one health, magic, or stamina to spend your point there. That will now be reflected in the stats of your battle level character.
Cool.
And to give you a specific example, if you have like a level 3 character, you would have 2 points to spend, and you spend 1 point in health and 1 point in magicka, so you've sort of distributed 50% in one, 50% in the other. Then when you get battle leveled, if you're battle leveled to vet 16, for example, then you would have, that type of character would have then 64 attribute points. So it'll allocate 32 of them to health and 32 of them to magicka. So it sort of creates the same balance and the same type of character you had before.
Cool. And we're also making improvements to like lower level characters who, haven't progressed as much as a higher level character, correct?
Yeah. So there's just sort of the first aspect is the stat picks. The next aspect is the items and the way they affect your character. So if I'm a level 10 character and I have a level 8 sword, my sword is like 2 levels sort of like underneath my effective level. If I'm then battle leveled to 16, that would be like I would have a vet 14 sword. And the quality level is preserved as well. So if it was a green sword, it would have the stats of a green sword, whereas if it's a legendary sword, it's like I have, a legendary sword that would be vet 14 in that instance. So
Nice.
the gear you're wearing and the quality of it both matter. So it's a lot more exciting when you get, a blue sword at your level when you're going through and leveling up and stuff, which is really nice. And then you were sort of wondering about how the low level characters
Heck yeah.
sort of
Is there some sort of
He was
catch-up
wondering.
mechanic or something?
yeah.
Not a mustard.
I was gonna say it and I was like, no, we said that last time, but you brought it back, man.
I'm gonna use it every time.
You're brave. I appreciate what you do here.
Thank you.
We missed you last time, right? You weren't on the show.
Yeah, I was in the back though,
Yeah.
He was sort of here.
doing the things.
He was half
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
You're doing all the hard work, the heavy lifting. We just get to sit here and talk,
Well,
right?
We just want to relish in whatever answer you have about the catch-up
Aw.
mechanic. So
Woo! Man, we got jokes over here.
Don't encourage him.
go ahead.
There was a lot of encouragement going on earlier. We had some good jokes. Anyways.
You don't want to hear him.
Yeah, so with this battle leveling, now characters who are level 10 are, playing in like Cyrodiil, right? They're battle leveled with their stats and with their gear. And they're gonna be weaker on a lot of fronts, right? Because they haven't morphed all their abilities, they haven't chosen very many passives, and their gear isn't really going to be as like fleshed out as a high level character, because potentially they haven't even gotten a helmet yet since they're so low level, or they're trying to like make a Magicka based build and they haven't even gotten any like cloth gloves or something like that,
Is that
right?
for me?
Amateur
Oh.
noobs. That's what you're saying.
If you need some water, go ahead.
Wait, that way.
We're not sharing.
Yeah, that's not. You ever see Regis hand the guest his mug and be like, "Hey, how about you have some of my water?" It doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I'm like taking it to the next level, right?
I guess. So continue.
A different level. Maybe not the next level, but we're going somewhere else. Yeah, so that was one of the major things that we wanted to account for with this catch-up mechanic, and we approached it in two different ways. So the first way we did this was a flat bonus that we just gave all characters more health, more magicka, more stamina.
I like that.
And that bonus scales as the character's level gets higher and higher. So like at level 1 they have 100% bonus to this, and then it gets lower and lower. So like level 30 it's half as much, so they get a 50% of this bonus. Cool. So that sort of helps make up for the fact that these lower levels have less of all these different things that sort of make your character stronger. And then the other thing we did is we added a % scaling bonus as well. It works in the same way, where you get less and less of the bonus the higher level your character is. And the reason we have these two different ones is the flat bonus kind of helps make up for a lot of the gear that the players were missing, for people who didn't even have a piece of gear equipped. And then the % bonus sort of helps with the way in which you've already customized your character. Because if you've put a lot of effort and a lot of points into health, then the % bonus really magnifies the health. Or, if you've gone for a more damage type of build, the % bonus will magnify all the damage that you're dealing with the character.
Man. Nice.
And then, of course, we have this on PTS right now, right? Which has been, as always, really helpful to read the forums and look
See
at
the feedback.
look at the feedback that people
You
are
read
saying.
the forums?
Oh yeah. I really want to start posting on the forums. I haven't been doing it because there's just all this crazy stuff.
But you're taking it in.
Yeah.
You're reading.
Yeah, I definitely
every
always
day.
read all kinds of forums, and not only do I spend my time going through, but other people will be like, hey, have you seen this cool thing, or this or that. So I end up getting to see a lot of forum stuff, which is good.
That's good.
Not all the stuff we can react to immediately, or not all of it is relevant, but
Sure.
we at least take it under advisement when we're making our design decisions.
That's good.
So particularly with battle leveling, it was just cool to see some people who are PvPers were getting really excited. The fact that the choices they made were, you know, going to be valid, and it was going to change the way that they could play in PvP now. And then another thing is we had someone who was lower level, who's being scaled with battle level, and they're like, I put on a full set of like gold armor and now I have like crazy stats or whatever. So we adjusted the way the scaling works a little bit so that you don't get scaled up quite as high, basically. So it's not like, oh yeah, now as a battle level character, I'm more powerful than Vet 16s.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was really good to get that feedback and do some more balancing and iteration on it.
For sure. So tied in with battle leveling, we're also making improvements to the looking for group tool.
Yeah.
Isn't that coming with
Absolutely.
this update?
Yep. It's a big update. We got a lot of nice new features.
Tell us about it.
Okay. You got it. So first off is the changes to level restrictions and how they work. And with looking for group in general, we got some information from our business intelligence team. They've been doing a really great job. And we saw like at all the different level bands, like how many people were searching and like what sort of like different types of players we had in there searching and stuff like that. So now that we have battle leveling and we have, you know, people sort of able to use more custom classes, like, oh, okay, I built, you know, I'm lower level, but I built like a tank character, or I'm lower level, but I built a healer. We can now lift the level restrictions on the grouping tool. So that means 10 character, I can group.
Are we leaving?
Woo! Okay. Yeah. So like level 10 and Vet 16 can now both queue up for a normal dungeon and run the dungeon together and have a fairly balanced and successful experience.
Sorry, I hear Jason laughing. It's making me laugh.
You're gonna be not quite as effective as a level 10, but you can still go to the dungeon and, you know, run the group with him and be successful with it. And overall, a bunch of these changes were aimed at getting the tool to work quickly and effectively for a wide group of people, because there's a lot of problems with it. You know, that like there's some bugs that we fixed, and there's just overall things to get more people in and people finding them groups like really quickly and
that's all you want, basically. Get in, play, and not have to
yeah,
wait,
you
so.
like, and you don't want to have to like, you know, spam in group chat for, you know, a long time and like hopefully someone's on who can group with me. Like now you can just get in, press the button, and you'll build the group.
And improvements to the queue time as well, just make that easier.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. So we actually added queue timers in here, so you can see how long you've been waiting and how long you will be expected to wait.
Which is great. Yep.
So it's just a little sort of like better feedback for
I think
users.
that was in the last PTS patch, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So people can be checking that out.
Yeah.
Another thing we did to make it so that people could get groups faster is we removed alliance restrictions. So now people of any alliance can play together, which is really cool because it's a new experience. That, you know, you have access to a whole new set of players that you could never play before with. And that means there's like 3 times as many people, right? So the group times are going to be a lot faster because of that. There was So funny note about that. We were testing this feature, and there was a slight bug with it where just a minor issue.
That usually means it was a really bad one.
I'm a little sarcastic at times. So you would get in a group with people of multiple different alliances when you queued up, and that like it worked really well, and that was exciting. Except you weren't allied with them, so you just got sent to a dungeon with a whole bunch of hostile players,
and then you just kill each other.
Yeah. So then there was like no dungeon progression happening at
That's
all.
part of the fun.
And even if you were, right, it's like, okay, I'll run in here, you know, and fight the monsters, and then someone's like throwing their AoE on top of you, and they're killing you and the monsters at the whole time. So like,
nice.
It was kind of insanity. And then there was the last thing that we kind of talked about and we were interested in doing. We ended up not actually doing this though, which was role removal. So right now for all our dungeons, you need to have a tank, you need to have a healer, and you need to have 2 DPS. And the group dungeon makes sure you have that makeup before it launches you guys off. So, in general, in our game, there's just like less players who play tanks than they do any other. So sort of the data we had, it was, a bunch of healers and tanks would all get put into groups, but then there was a whole bunch of DPS left over. So we were considering allowing just 4 DPS to group up and just go into a dungeon. And that would make the queue times basically 0 for everyone, right? Like with these 2 other features, like as long as 4 people are in the queue, they just go, they get their group, and they just do it, right? So that part about it is really cool, but we didn't want to set people up for failure, because these at Vet 16 for the average player, like the dungeons are still pretty difficult. Like the bosses hit pretty hard, and like you need to do a lot of healing. You need someone to be able to absorb those big hits. So we kind of wanted to keep the core gameplay experience as well of having a tank and having a healer. So that's something we'll be evaluating in the future based on sort of feedback and looking at how often groups are getting formed and stuff like that. But and we would probably need some sort of special case rules too for groups of all damage dealers. So,
Cool. So something we're looking at.
Yeah, we'll continue to evaluate though.
Nice.
So there's people in chat kind of asking if we'll ever be able to group cross-faction outside of the grouping tool.
Oh, you guys jumping ahead.
Sorry.
Jumping ahead.
Sorry. Trying to integrate a little bit.
All right, no, I like integration. I'm pro integration. Yes, the answer is yes. That was with all these features we could have waited another update and made like a larger, more robust sort of set of changes, because we do have more planned, but we wanted to get this in as quick as possible for people to play and group and use the tool.
Just at least the first iteration.
Yeah. So like our first sort of priority was like getting people using the tool and getting it to work quickly. So yeah, we have a bunch of updates planned. I'll go over those in a couple minutes. But yeah, that's definitely like a highly requested feature, because you can be in a guild with other people and you could be talking to them, and like these are your friends, and it's like, hey, let's play content together, but we can't.
But soon you will.
So yeah, you will soon. It's definitely the top of our additional features that we'll be adding in the future.
Sorry, jumped ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. That was a good interruption. Yeah, any more questions, actually, you can just fire them
I'll
off.
just interrupt you
Yeah,
every
no
time.
big deal. Another really nice feature that we got in with this one is the jump to dungeon feature. So how that works is your group, you go through the tool, you search, it'll find a group of 4, and then once it does that, it pops up a message for everyone, and it says, press E to teleport to dungeon. You press E, and it just shoots you into the dungeon. And this is really great because it solves a number of problems. Like if you're searching for multiple dungeons and then the queue pops, you don't actually know which one you're supposed to go to, and then you also have to physically like get there. So you either need to like run there, or you have to open your normal sized map and then find the actual dungeon on the map, which is kind of difficult because there's a lot of way shrines and there's a lot of dungeons. You got to find it and then click there and travel there. So we've sort of removed all those barrier of entries, right? So the queue pops, you just press E and you go right to the dungeon, which is really nice.
That's great.
And then there's a couple more features.
Tell us.
Or actually, no, this is the last one. Just kidding. There's not
A couple more, meaning one.
couple. One.
Well, this one better be good.
One couple. Yeah, this one's pretty good.
Cool.
So the last one is a group buff that you get for using the looking for group system.
So you join with your group, and then you're all just really strong and buff, right? Isn't that what you're talking about?
Get strong.
Am I off?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty good actually. So you get a mitigation bonus where you take less damage if you use the group tool, and you also get a bonus to your weapon damage and spell damage.
Cool.
So that means your heals will be more effective, and as a damage dealer, you'll be dealing more damage every hit.
So an
Is this
incentive
going-
to group.
Is this
Yeah.
going into the upcoming DLC or the
Yep.
just new features you're looking at?
So this looking for group tool is for everyone.
Base game patch.
Yeah, base game patch. So yeah, everyone has it.
I don't think I have a patch note for
I
that.
saw that face you were making, and I was like,
I was gonna say
No
this is a
patch note.
gosh.
That doesn't sound like the gameplay team. Come on, Gina. We always document everything perfectly.
perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's another nice thing. And then I guess one important note about this is we did keep the functionality where you can currently walk into a dungeon and have it scaled to the group leader. So and that's basically a feature that a lot of people really enjoyed, and we thought about removing with this update so that it was just sort of cleaner and easier to understand that the dungeon always works in this one particular way. But it's actually really nice because anyone who wants to do like the veteran pledge or something, but it's a little bit too difficult, they can do it at a certain level. And then they can make sure it's a lot easier for them to complete the pledge if they're having problems. So we know people really like it, and we didn't want to remove it. So we did a little gymnastics and kept that in there so that people can keep playing the way that they are enjoying to play the game.
Nice.
And then the very last note I have about this is bug fixes. We did a lot of bug fixing with this tool as well to fix some issues. Two of the major ones was the queue was kind of getting jammed up in some circumstances where it would have like 10 players it was looking at, and none of them would create like a valid group, and then it wasn't like looking for new players, so it was just like jammed up, and it was kind of like a traffic jam. It was just kind of at an impasse, and it wouldn't move on. So now we're sort of cycling people around so that new people are getting dropped into the queue. So it shouldn't have that issue where there's just no groups are able to be formed, which is really nice. And then another thing we had was if you're queuing in a group, but then you zoned at like the same time, you would get stuck in the queue and you wouldn't get removed. So that was another thing that was kind of like causing a backlog and slowing down the queues as well. So
Gotcha.
we've made some good fixes there, in addition to just some overall functionality and sort of quality of life changes for the tool.
That's good. Man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's coming soon.
Yeah, it's coming real soon.
Yeah.
And
November 2nd.
yeah, and it's on the PTS now, so people can check it out if they want. And then I also want to talk about some of the additional features that we have coming up planned for this tool.
Go ahead. We already spoiled
one of them. Yeah, we had a nice little introduction there, a little sneak peek, super sneak peek, I guess, before the sneak peek. So first off is the UI reskin. We're just sort of changing the layout and making it a little bit more intuitive, a little easier to get to key features you want. We're removing the selection of normal mode versus veteran mode, because it's kind of confusing of like using that, but then you select normal or vet mode from a drop down as well, so it's just like not very intuitive. So we're getting rid of that, and then allowing you to, when you click on a dungeon, either on your map or when you just walk up to the dungeon and click on it, you can then select, do you want to do this in normal mode, do you want to do this in veteran mode, or do you want to use looking for group finder? So it's another easy way to get to the looking for group finder tool, which is nice. With the queue timer feature that we added, we're going to be making it more robust, and it'll tell you the queue timer based on what your role is. So it'll say, oh, tanks are queuing this long, DPS is queuing this long. So you'll be like, oh, DPS is a really long queue time. Maybe I want to try out healing. Maybe I want to try out tanking. I haven't really done a lot of this before, but it looks like I could get in a group a lot faster. So maybe I'll give it a shot, see how it goes. Yeah, we talked about the queuing with other alliances. And part of the reason we hadn't gotten that in is there's a lot of sort of like weird edge casey things where it's like, oh, you could get teleported to Cyrodiil when you have people of the other alliance, and just like some other sort of weird situations you can get into. So we're kind of hammering those out, but that's one sort of at the top of the list we're trying to get in.
Nice.
And then the last two things, you will be able to queue with a full group of 4 players. Right now you can only queue with a group of 3, and then you have to have one random person when you use looking for group. So this way, you can have a full group of 4 friends, and then you can queue up for the dungeon, and then you can have access to the new incentives that we're adding. So the first time you use this tool, if you queue for all dungeons, you will receive a whole bunch of bonus experience, and you get a bonus loot bag that'll have some good loot in there for you, basically. And
you have to actually complete the dungeon, right? Not just like queue up for it.
You got me again. Yeah. You actually have to complete the dungeon by killing the last boss, and then anyway.
I can just see people just kind of queuing up, get their thing, leave.
All right, got my bag.
Yep,
See you later.
Got my loot. I'm done.
Yeah, and then if you queue up additional times after the first one there, you'll still get bonus experience, but you can only get that loot bag once per day.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Feeling pretty good about it.
We have a bunch of people just asking random questions in chat about, when are we going to make changes to this class or this ability or whatever, and just want to confirm that we are going to be making a lot of those changes in the update after Orsinium.
Yeah, update
Right.
9. We got a whole bunch of stuff planned. So yeah, this is like the perfect time, since we're finalizing our list of things that we're going to be adding for people to go in there and give us more feedback. And specifically, the feedback that's really useful for us is when people talk about the specific problems that they're having playing the game, and then we can figure out ways to diagnose them and improve them. So you're like, I'm playing this type of content and I do this thing, or I use like these type of abilities, and then the other player uses these type of abilities and I don't have a good counter to it, or the monster does this and then it basically just kills me every time, and I have no way to sort of respond appropriately or react to that situation. So being detailed and talking about like specific abilities and stuff like that are causing you problems are really helpful for us.
And just to clarify, when Eric was talking about the cross-faction grouping outside of the grouping tool, that's going to come into the next round of improvements for the grouping tool, not the one that's going into the Orsinium DLC.
Right. So yeah. With Orsinium, we were just like trying to get the tool as functional as possible, and then we have like some sort of like additional bonus features to just make it nicer and easier to use and stuff like that.
Cool.
So in Orsinium, you'll be able to group with people with other alliances through the grouping tool, and then sometime after that, you'll be able to do it manually without the grouping tool.
Yeah.
Just so that's clear.
Cool.
Not that it wasn't, but just in case.
Yeah.
So I think
Also,
that...
it's easier to hear.
Nope, it doesn't wrap it up. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Go, please.
I was just gonna say, yeah,
Please finish.
it's good to hear it from another voice and another perspective too. Like that sort of helps people understand things better. So.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah. So, are there any other questions people are asking about?
Just
kind of
very
stuff?
specific, like, oh, this ability's broken or whatever.
I'm
but,
going to read one.
Go ahead.
Someone said, Gina, if you read this, you're amazing, and it means a lot to me as a female player that you are, that there are other women in the industry. And I had to read that because that...
That's very
and
sweet.
part of the reason I have to read that is because you just celebrated 8 years at ZeniMax Online Studios.
Wow.
Yesterday was my 8-year anniversary. Actually, Matt Weathers also, our resident potty mouth.
So congrats.
He was on the show, right?
Oh, yeah. He was
last
on the
week.
show, all right.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, thank you.
I was really good with the language today, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you dropped a single
There were some
bad
things
word.
I wasn't supposed to say, and I didn't say any of them. I really wanted to.
I think that's a perfect stream. PG and
Yep, for everyone.
no bleeps.
Yeah, you guys should have seen a rehearsal right before this
Ooh,
was,
man.
boy, not appropriate
getting wild.
at all. And with that, I think we should wrap it up
I think
for
so.
today. Thanks, everybody, as always, for tuning in and watching.
Yep.
Anybody who catches us on YouTube afterwards, thanks for watching. Not
Thank you.
live, I guess.
Yep.
ESO
As long as you watch-
ESO not so live.
Yeah.
ESO used to be live.
Yeah. Live at one time, now dead.
So we will be back actually Friday, November 20th
Yep.
at 4 o'clock p.m. We have just a lot to do with Orsinium launch and a bunch of other things going on. So
Yep.
we'll
It's gonna be
be
exciting.
bringing you a jam-packed show November 20th full of stuff.
Full of stuff. One thing, if you guys do get any of the cool Witches Festival items from the Crown Store, please show us your pictures.
Oh, yeah.
We'd love to see them. If you're on Twitter, you can use hashtag Witches Festival or just at us, and we'll take a look at it. And
At
of course,
us?
at us, tag us.
That's
you,
us.
You can say at us, can't you?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Sure.
I've heard that before.
Or if you're on the forums, of course, share your pictures with us. But we would love to see them. And you only have until November 2nd, so
Better hurry.
That's
Better hurry
true.
up.
And as always, we love to see any of your other creations, whether
Of
it's fan art, screenshots, what have you.
Yep.
Shoot us an email at community@elderscrollsonline.com.
that's the
We'll
one.
take a look.
All right, well, thank you guys.
Yep. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next
See you
time.
guys.